there's a mandate for racial justice and inclusivity. Sometimes that's how we get through.
Which is very smart. Because parents are not able to opt out of those classes.
That's right, exactly. That's right, you got it.
In today's information age, parents closely monitor their children's influences. However, unsettling disclosures about HiTOPS, a youth-focused sex education and LGBTQ service provider, reveal covert tactics to introduce sexually oriented content in schools, bypassing parental consent.
When we go to middle school, they have a class that's called Pathways to Racial Literacy. We come in and we teach for 3 days. That class, parents are not allowed to opt their children out of.
Through classes such as the Pathway to Literacy program, organizations like HiTOPS and others may have found their way into middle school classrooms, offering no provisions for parental opt-out. The covert introduction of sexually oriented content without informing parents may not only be inappropriate, but may also be fundamentally deceptive.
So you found a backdoor.
Yes, it is really nice.
In New Jersey, our undercover journalist unveiled alarming truths from high top educators. While their website paints them as a nonprofit championing inclusive, youth-informed sex education and LGBTQ support, a deeper investigation uncovered deception. Facing parental resistance, both Executive Director Lisa Shelby and health educator Hannah Wires confessed they exploit Pathways to Racial Literacy class as a hidden channel, a backdoor to reach children, bypassing the parents' rights to opt out their children.
I'm just so happy to hear that you all are so dedicated to this, especially right now when a lot of people are sort of getting really nervous about making this part of their mission statement because they're worried about how other people will sort of like respond. And we've had unfortunately a handful of people kind of back out of contracts because they're worried about parent backlash or things like that. What are you teaching my child?
All the parents know that you guys are in the school? Oh, and that's why some of them push back.
So, in some instances, for example, when we go to middle school, they have a class that's called Pathways to Racial Literacy. And so it is, learning a lot about race, ethnicity, so on and so forth. We come in and we teach for 3 days. That class, parents are not allowed to opt their children out of. That's our real, real sort of goal would be to remove opt-out laws or opt-out policies, because right now for a health class, if we came in as a health class, parents could opt their children out.
What's the name of the class?
It's called Pathways to Racial Literacy.
Oh, so through that you interject yourself. Yeah. So that's why they just know that the class is Pathway.
Yes.
Through
racial literacy. Yes. And that class, parents are not allowed to opt out of. Parents, I believe, are still allowed to opt out of a health class. So a note would get sent home and say, next week we're talking about anatomy or, gender identity. And a parent could send a form back saying, you have to pull my child out of class. And so I think our real goal would be to make sure that opt-out doesn't exist.
But that's okay, though. You found a back door.
Yes, it is really nice. I think more and more what we end up doing, while we brand ourselves as sex education and support, what we end up doing more and more, especially this past year on the education team, is doing that affirming work, doing those lessons with teachers, with students about affirming language, affirming practices, things like that, just because that's sort of been the need that more people have had than, doing healthy relationships and things like that.
But that's where you market yourself differently.
Yeah. My coworkers are the ones who sort of pivot to market. I just sort of show up and teach, and she's a genius when it comes to sort of sensing those needs that need to be filled.
What's your director's name?
Our director is Lisa Shelby.
Our journalist sat down with HiTOPS Executive Director Lisa Shelby to discuss the organization's objectives and programs. Notably, she confirmed their use of the Pathway to Racial Literacy class in select New Jersey schools, capitalizing on the fact that parents cannot exclude nor opt out their children from this course.
Our organization provides sexual health education and LGBTQ plus support primarily for young people. And when I say that, our focus is on youth and young people. Now, that adults, by and large, at least those that we work with, want to be supportive and helpful of the kids in their life, but feel confused, ignorant. They don't have the vocabulary. Yes. They don't want to make a mistake, right? So we start there, and our goal is to create a safe, open space. People can make mistakes, ask questions, etc. And we have. So that's sort of our initial training, and then we have 8 different modules that kind of go through, gets more and more in depth, more and more sort of in the nitty-gritty of the tenets of orientation in general.
And that's done through racial injustice class, right?
Sometimes,
yeah.
In certain schools, but you're right, there's a mandate.
Yeah.
For racial justice and inclusivity.
Yes.
Sometimes that's how we get through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is very smart.
Yeah.
Because parents are not able to opt out of those classes.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. You got it. So that's one big program that we have.
In our modern classrooms, our Undercover video has ignited a heated debate. Hannah Wires highlights how organizations, under the guise of promoting inclusivity, are accessing students directly during school hours. They're using school-issued computers to discuss sensitive topics like the pronouns of a child's gender based on their own observations of a child's perceived identity.
Sometimes, they know their situation infinitely better than us. They live it every day. And so while we, are I really want for you to be able to, use your correct name with your parents. They know that, I don't feel safe doing that right now. And so, having that conversation, I think, is really the most important thing about, and so, with children who are not at, reading and writing age, it's a little difficult, but having that conversation, privately, in the sense of, without the parent around, what kind of name do you want for me to use? Is there do you like going by, this name, or, is there another name, right? And so, we also encourage regular check-ins to, every, again, when we're recommending something at the public school level, it's about every quarter or every semester, sending out, I don't know if you all have been in a school recently. They're all digital. They do everything digital.
No.
Yes.
And no more pen and paper?
Right. No. They all have school-issued laptops, and they're all doing so much of it online, which can be nice though, because then they can send out a Google form basically, and it's just hey, I'm just checking in. Do you still remind me what name you'd like to be called? Remind me what pronouns you like to use. Which you all could potentially adapt to, just especially if you are noticing a child was being very insistent and being very consistent about asserting their gender identity. Checking in every couple of months, is this still the name you like to use? Are these still the pronouns you like to use? Are these still the words you like to use too? Right? Because I don't know if a 4-year-old is going to know the word pronoun, but they know the word words, right? And they know, I like to be called she, her, I'm a boy, things like that.
So you send it directly to the student, not the parent.
That's what we encourage staff to do, yes.
So you said young second grades in public school. What public schools have you been working with in New Jersey?
We've worked with, we have a contract with JP Elementary School here in Princeton. We've done work at Princeton Middle School. We've done work at a handful of sites in Trenton.
Do you know where in Trenton? Because I would love to be able to.
Worked at Trenton Ninth Grade Academy
Okay.
in partnership with Empower, which is another like sort of healthcare-led organization. We've worked with Christina Sykes Academy, which is close to Trenton. So we're sticking largely in Princeton and like a little bit of Trenton at this point in time. But we are happy to also do, that's usually like our in-person. Virtually, we go much farther. Virtually, we reach out to places in New York, to places in California, to like places across the country.
Every child should receive a transparent education that equips them for academic achievement and future success. Our investigation into HiTOPS reveals a significant breach of trust, where trusted educators exploit loopholes and technology to advance radical sexual education without parental knowledge or consent. These educators admit their goal is to eliminate a parent's right to opt their children out of classes that they may feel are inappropriate or violate their family's values. Project Veritas remains committed to investigating the secret curriculums that exist in America's classrooms.